What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We have some big things to cover today related to Nvidia's earnings. Their revenue grew by 46% year over year, and the stock is tanking in after hours. So, Tom, what the heck is going on with Nvidia?
Yeah, it's insane, Mike. So they had a pretty good day overall, but once after hours hit, man, they started really flying down with this earnings report. And you can see that it pretty much says on CNBC they're falling with light guidance, but across the board, they beat on a lot of different things. So they had a 1.36 EPS versus a 1.29 expected. Their revenue came in beating as well at 8.29 billion versus 8.11 billion expected. And in our popular news tab on our Discord, you can see here how there's a lot of great numbers here with Nvidia. So their gaming revenue is up 31% year over year, beating those estimates. Their data center revenue is up 83% year over year. And we actually looked up what that data center revenue was for you guys. And it pretty much says here that their data center has to do with all types of stuff like AI performance computing, accelerated computing, stuff for autonomous driving, and pretty much anything that deals with AI or cryptocurrency mining processors and all types of stuff like that. So, they're getting into a lot of stuff, Mike, and they're beating on a lot of numbers, especially year over year. So it's great to see that. The only thing that went down, Mike, was their free cash flow. That actually fell 13% year over year. But overall, the rest of their numbers were good. The only thing that was bad was just that guidance there. So you can see that they see Q2 revenue at $8.1 billion versus that 8.4 billion estimate. So they are missing on guidance, which is why they're falling.
Exactly. So it's kind of crazy to think that Nvidia beat the estimates on revenue. So they brought in more money than everyone was expecting. They profited more than everyone was expecting. They are growing at an amazing pace. But just like you said, Tom, their revenue guidance missed. So for this current quarter, Nvidia brought in around $8.29 billion in revenue. For the next quarter, they expect to bring in around $8.1 billion in revenue, but everyone was expecting them to bring in around $8.44 billion. So it's pretty tough. Nvidia stock is struggling right now. Tom, how about we show off the dashboard really quickly just to see how Nvidia is doing fundamentally. We can see over the past couple years, Nvidia's revenue has been booming. Since 2016, Nvidia had a revenue of $5 billion annually, and as of 2022, it's all the way up to just under $27 billion. They are a profitable company, they pay a small dividend, and overall, they're just in a booming industry.
Yeah, they really are. You can see even just their revenue quarter by quarter is also just consistently increasing. They don't really have any big dips or anything like that. It only looks like the only dip they had was back in 2020 there, just momentarily. But other than that, they've been on a steady uptrend. Like you said, they're in a great sector, being the semiconductor industry. Of course, they're also in the graphic computing industry, of course, which is great. I know GPUs have been exploding, so that's great. They also have 36% net profit margins, which is actually pretty good. So, Nvidia, they're growing, Mike, and I think that their stock will do pretty good over the longer haul here. It's just in the shorter term, I'm just curious to see how they're going to continue to do with missing on this guidance, because I know Intel's CEO also came out a couple weeks or a couple months ago, and he said that they expect supply chain issues to hurt Intel all the way into 2024. So I'm curious to see how the supply chain will just continue to affect these semiconductors, because it seems like that might end up dampening Nvidia's growth here over the next year, as we saw with that guidance miss.
Yeah, so overall, Nvidia is in a great industry because, of course, like everything nowadays uses semiconductors in one way or another, especially everything to do with like cryptocurrency mining, artificial intelligence, gaming, and a bunch of stuff like that. So if Nvidia continues to fall, it should be a great buying opportunity for the long term. One other thing I wanted to point out is that Nvidia is set to do a $15 billion share buyback program, which should benefit shareholders over the long term. So they're going to take $15 billion and buy up their shares on the open market, which should be great.
Yeah, that does sound pretty great, Mike. If we ended up saying that some big player like Michael Burry or something was buying $15 billion of the stock, I'm sure people would go crazy. So $15 billion, no matter who's buying it, is definitely going to be a big deal. And it looks like Nvidia, Mike, on the chart, in after hours here, they're down to like 158 now. We can see that on this 1 minute chart, they're kind of coming back up a little bit. So I'm kind of curious to see where they're going to end up. Like we said, some of these numbers were actually very good, especially year over year. So it's definitely getting volatile here, Mike. And I'm seeing a pretty big support down here around $150. So maybe if we keep falling down, that might hold up as a good support. Obviously, we hit 152.20 here as the low of after hours, but 150 is a pretty big level I'm eyeing up, Mike. And if we look at that max daily chart, Nvidia is getting pretty low. We're back to levels that we were at back in the middle of 2021. And man, if we fall back below 150, we'll run back down into that 130 range.
Yep, crazy stuff. So that's the main thing for Nvidia for tomorrow. The market has been crazy lately, so keep it on your radar. But Tom, what else do we have going on in the market?
Yeah, so the Fed actually had the minutes come out today. So as we know, the FOMC minutes pretty much covers what the Feds talked about in the last FOMC meeting. And it just showed that the Feds were going to continue to be hawkish and that we were going to continue to see more basis point rate hikes. So they pretty much said that they're expecting multiple 50 basis point rate hikes here. So that's going to be pretty big, guys. I mean, I know that we've been expecting rate hikes, but people haven't been necessarily expecting multiple 50 basis point jumps, but it looks like that's kind of the pace that they're looking at going at here. Overall, though, the market ended up jumping off this news, Mike. SPY it held up pretty well today. Even towards the end, we had a pretty big push up around $400 there. So actually, it was pretty good. I know a lot of people always think that rate hikes are going to make the market drop, but as we know historically, that's not really the case.
Exactly. Like stocks can easily rise when interest rates are rising. Think about it this way, guys. It's better to have the economy slowing down and getting back to how it should be, even if it hurts a little bit in the short term, than for the Feds to just continue to print money and then for us to have hyperinflation. That would be terrible. So, even though things are slowing down a little bit, we need to get inflation under control. So the market clearly responded in a great way to the FOMC minutes today. So there we go. Tom, I know that it has been a pretty eventful week so far in terms of economic data and events and even some earnings. But what other earnings do we have for the rest of the week?
Yeah, so it's actually not going to be anything too crazy compared to what we've had so far, but tomorrow morning is going to be pretty big. We have Alibaba and Baidu there. So some pretty big China stocks, actually, to say the least. And also Macy's, that might be pretty big for some retailers there. A lot of those retailers have been kind of falling off lately, so definitely be careful with them. Costco after hours is also going to be big for the retailers, of course. As we know, like Walmart, Target, Costco, and a lot of other companies have been taking some big hits. So definitely watch Costco and Macy's tomorrow. But Mike, my favorite's probably going to be Alibaba, of course. Those China stocks have been pretty crazy lately, and I'm kind of hoping they can start to recover sometime soon.
Right? It's been quite a while since we saw a great uptrend out of Alibaba, Baidu, or any other stocks like them.
Yeah, it really is. Like, look at this max daily chart here of Baba. Like, we've been really staying under this big blue trend line here, and it's just been continually selling off and touching that trend line to the downside, actually, for almost 2 whole years now at this point. So it looks like there is a bit of support forming around 75 and maybe like $80. So who knows? Maybe we'll start to get a pop here, but I'm not going to be too optimistic, Mike. These China stocks have definitely been lackluster lately, to say the least.
Yep, no doubt. Well, Tom, do you have any favorite setups or anything you're watching for tomorrow?
Yeah, so the market actually had a really good day today. Like we said, the SPY was doing very well with the FOMC minutes. I know Nvidia is going to steal a lot of the headlines from today, of course, but a lot of the growth plays did very well, kind of recovering up here. So AI was up like 6.3%. We even had AMC up 14% today, ever since they were around $10 this week. So it's kind of good to see them popping up. Mike, I noticed that Zoom was continuing up after their earnings here. They did kind of fall back off there initially on Tuesday, but now they ripped right back to the upside. It actually looks like a pretty nice uptrend. So, these growth stocks are looking pretty hot here. Even Palantir was up. So pretty good day overall, actually.
There we go. So before we move on, I just want to give a giant shout out to our member of the day. Huge shout out, Atomistic, in the YouTube comments. Thank you so much for all the kind and supportive comments. Tom and I really appreciate you. But Tom, let's get right into these momentum plays for tomorrow. With the first one, we have Beyond Meat to the upside.
Yeah, good old Beyond here. Go ahead and make them break out above 26.30 tomorrow. That's actually a pretty good resistance from last week as well.
All right, and with the next one, we have Asana also to the upside.
Yeah, they were up 9% here. Hopefully Moskovitz can help make this stock go up some more, Mike, but hopefully they can break above $20.40 tomorrow.
Right, and with the last one, we have Netflix also to the upside.
Yeah, I'm glad to see them recovering up. Go ahead and make them break above 190.
All right, so we are watching Netflix, Asana, and Beyond Meat for potential day trades to the upside tomorrow, only if they break above the levels Tom listed. If you guys trade options, definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. Our bot had an amazing call out today with Disney call options. It alerted the 102 strike calls at $185 each, and they popped all the way up to $242 each. It's an awesome pop. You're not going to find your bot anywhere else. You can cancel it anytime. And if you want to try it out, we have a coupon running. So definitely check it out. The link is in the description and the comments down below. But Tom, I'm very excited for the end of the week. A lot of stocks had some pretty good days, especially like Zoom, Beyond Meat, and even Palantir, like you said.
Yeah, these stocks were really ripping up. It was a good day overall. Even some of the safer plays or slower movers like Target were kind of recovering after their big drops recently. So even they were up like 4%. Even some of the airlines were coming back a little bit, up like 3.7%. So pretty good moves overall here. I noticed the SPY has done very well the past few days, Mike. It's actually kind of holding its ground, and I'm curious to see if maybe 380 to 385 might hold up as like a bit of a short-term resistance. I will say there's been a bit of a channel with SPY here on this daily chart, and I'm kind of curious to see if maybe we'll start to break out of this back to the upside or not, because as we know, everything's been so volatile lately. I just cannot wait to see a nice uptrend or just a nice move either way. Even if we break this to the downside, I hope it's just some nice consistent movement for once.
Yep, very true. So remember, if you guys trade options, definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. Our bot's awesome. You won't find it anywhere else. Besides that, let's have a great rest of the week.